Welcome to Frontend Techies. In this video, we are going to understand how to make a GET request in JavaScript using Fetch API. So first, let's try to understand what is the use case of Fetch API. So let's say you have an application, you have a front-end application, and you need some data from the server, or you need to add the data to your server or backend. So in that case, Fetch API is the best way to do that in JavaScript. And here in this video, we are only going to talk about the GET request. In the later video, we'll also discuss about the post, put, and delete request. So without wasting time, let's get started. So here I have just created a simple HTML markup with the basic head and body, and I'm just going to create a script tag. And since I'm going to handle it in line for your reference, so I've just created a script tag. So inside the script tag, I'm going to uh, handle the fetch request. So what I have to do, I'm creating a simple function here, const um, get um, get data get data handler, and this is going to be a normal function. But if you want, you can also use arrow functions as well. And to fire this event, I'm going to create a button in my HTML. So on click, I'm just going to fire this method, right? Okay, and this will be get data, right? So now what I have to do, since we are going to use the fetch API to make a get request, I have a fetch method which is given by fetch API, and this fetch method is globally available, so I can use anywhere in my code. So this is, I mean, I can use anywhere in the context of my code. So fetch API accepts some arguments. The first argument will be the URL or the endpoint, you can say, and the next argument will be these arguments are optional. The next arguments, but the mandatory argument is the URL. So at least we need an endpoint. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to the JSON placeholder um, where I'll get some fake API with all the requests. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this get post. I'm trying to get the only one post. So this endpoint gives me this data. Okay. So I'm just copying this endpoint and I'm just pasting it here, right? So now we are ready to make a get request using fetch. So this fetch method returns a promise. Since it returns a promise, so we have to handle it through .then, right? So if you're not sure about promise, then I'll just create a separate video. But now you can just consider that if something returns promise, then we just have to handle it through .then, and it will also have a catch method to handle the errors, right? Simple. Okay. So now this .then, this promise will have access to the response data. Whatever data we are going to get it from the fetch API, this promise will have the response data, and it will return that response data. Okay, return response. Okay. Now without just returning, let's just try to understand what this response data is all about. So I'm just trying to just print to the console response. Okay. Now let's just hit the browser, and we got the button, and if I click on that button, we got this response, this object. But this is not the data we are looking at, right? We should get this one, this data. But instead of this, we get this one, this response object. This is because this fetch returns a promise with response data. So this response data it returns. So this response data contains some methods, and you can see the headers, okay, status, and some metadata. Also some methods to convert this response to a proper format. The proper format, what I mean, to convert this response to a JSON or to a text file or to a PDF format. So what we have to do, we have to convert this, since we need JSON data, what we have to do, we have to convert this response to a JSON. So we can simply convert this one into JSON using .json method, right? And we have to return this one. Since this returns a promise, so we have to return this one. Okay, return response.json. Now response.json again returns a promise because you can see here this response, it gives the body, but the body is not yet ready. It is still in readable string, right? We have access to the status and types and all, but the body is not yet ready, right? The body is not yet ready because the body is quite expensive at this stage. So we do not want the body to be represented immediately. So again, we just have to handle it asynchronously using this response.json, because response.json again returns a promise. So in that case, what we have to do, we have to do dot then again, and here we get access to the data. Okay, so if simply we are doing console.log data, right, and if we go to the browser and try to hit the URL again and click on this button, you can see we get the desired output. Whatever we should get from the API endpoint, we are getting the output, right? We have user ID, we have body, we have ID, and we have title. Okay, so this is how we can make a GET request using fetch API to this to any endpoint, to any any endpoint or URL. So this is fine. We got the data and everything, we got it. But what is the use case of this catch then? You are right. So what is the use of this catch? So as I've already mentioned, using this catch we can handle the errors, right? So let's say I have some response and I'm trying to print this one in the console. So when this will execute when we have errors, then only this catch block will be executed, right? So let's say we have the endpoint is incorrect and we are trying to hit now. So what we should get? We should get response, this catch block response, right? So if I reload the page and if I'm trying to hit the button, but I didn't get anything. I just got a simple object, a blank object, right? And the URL is 404 because this is a different route. That this route doesn't exist, so it gives you 404. But we do not have access to this response inside. So why it is? So this is because when we are doing a fetch request, if the API gives you 404 or 501 something errors like that, then we will not have access to. We cannot access that errors in the catch block. Okay. So to handle that one, what we have to do? We have to check it here, right? As you have already seen, what this console will present to you, this response, what exactly it will print. So I'll just show you again what this response will present. Go to the browser and hit it again. Yeah. So if you can see this response, so we have some properties like OK, status, something like that. So we can make use of this properties, right? So what you have to do, we can just check if response dot okay, if that is okay. So this then okay will always return boolean like true or false. So if response dot okay, then return response dot json. Else what I'm going to do, I will return a promise instead. Okay, so I'll just return promise promise dot reset. So I'm going to reset this one with the response. So if it is not success, then I'm going to reset this one. I'm going to reset this one, right? So now we if you're trying to catch the error in the catch block, then we should have access to this response. Okay. Now let me incorrect the URL again, and if I'm going back to the browser and I hit the button, you can see that we get access to this response. Response.status, okay is false. And here, if you want to get response.status, let's leave it to now. Just page again, get data. You can see what. So this is all about the get request. How we are going to handle the get request in fetch API. We can handle the then we can handle the catch. So everything we can handle. So I hope you have now a clear understanding about the get request and its usage. So if you really like this video, please subscribe to Frontend Techies, like and share with your friends. I'll see you soon in the next. Thank you.